Welcome back to Crash Course in Medieval Armor, and today is all about the chest. If you were poor but didn't want to get stabbed to death, you might choose a gambeson. Despite the fact that it was really nothing more than stuffed quilted fabric, it was a surprisingly effective way to stop cuts, cushion blunt force, and even hold off some thrusting strikes. When lords had to outfit peasants for war, this was often the most popular choice, but it could also be worn under plate or mail armor as well, in which case it was called an arming doublet. This was pretty similar to the ancient Greek linothorax armor, which was layered linen glued together until it was hard like wood, basically ancient micarta. Chainmail was perhaps the most ubiquitous option, and it has been around since the 3rd or 4th century BC. The Romans used it for centuries, and a chainmail hauberk was a great way to protect your whole body. There were tons of different chainmail patterns and weaves, but the main types were riveted mail, which was the strongest, and butted mail, which had no mechanical connection holding the rings together. Scale mail protected you even better than chainmail, and it was sometimes cheaper to make, but it was not nearly as flexible, and it just didn't fold around arm joints as well. But perhaps most practically, chainmail could also be very easily repaired, while scale mail often fell apart if it was damaged. So chainmail remained the most popular option. For this reason, chainmail served as the foundation for transitional forms of armor as well, like plated mail. As the name suggests, it was basically just chainmail with plates worked into it. It was pretty cool and effective, but it just didn't really catch on in Western Europe. Very similar was lamellar armor made of small plates called lames laced together by leather. It was popular with the Byzantines, but it also didn't rise to popularity in Western Europe. Lamellar armor is not to be confused with laminar armor, which was made from horizontal overlapping lames. It's most commonly recognized as Roman lorica segmentata, but it was also worn by the Polish hussars and the Earl of Pembroke. Armor constructed with lames was very easy to make and quite effective as well. Another good example was splinted armor, in which the lames were sewed onto a cloth or leather coat, and it was an important step in the transition from mail to plate armor. Ring armor was another transitional form that was very cost effective. Metal rings were affixed to a leather doublet, and though they didn't offer as much protection as other forms of armor, it was able to stop a lot of slashing strikes, and the rings were even able to catch some thrusting strikes before they went too deep. Two of the most popular forms of transitional armor were jack of plate and brigandine armor. Both part of the same theory of design, they were both constructed from small overlapping metal plates held between layers of felt, linen, or canvas to form a flexible coat with sometimes over 1,000 pieces of iron or steel inside. The main difference between the two is that plates were sewn together in a jack while they were riveted together in a brigandine. But they were both very cost effective and relatively easy to manufacture, which allowed lords to arm their troops without breaking the bank. The king of all chest armor, though, was the cuirass. It was a noble piece of armor with a rich military history stretching all the way from Hellenistic times to World War I. In fact, there were so many variations and forms of the cuirass that it deserves its own video. So make sure to tell me everything I got wrong in the comments section and come back next week for the cuirass.